Guys, welcome back to a special edition of the Flip Flop Power Hour. So we rebranded as the Flip Flop Power Hour last night. Look there. I'm looking at this screen. I got to put this down. Is that better? I'll look into the camera, guys. Hey, so anyways, give us a like on the way in and prepare your questions for us. We are with our good friends, Edgardo Joy and JC Morales. And these guys are dynamic young entrepreneurs on the island of Puerto Rico that are both doing some really cool stuff all across the island. And we're going to talk about one of their deals that they have going on right here in Santurce. I did a short video of it yesterday, a 1-minute walkthrough. It's amazing. And we want to hear their story. And so I'm going to first introduce Edgardo Joy. Joy, you'll introduce yourself and then throw it to your brother JC. And JC will tell us who you are and what you guys are up to on the island. So Joy, thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Can you guys see me and hear me fine? Let me know. You can? Perfect. So there you go. I'm live. So yes, thank you, Rob, for that introduction. First of all, you sound like a radio man. You sound pro. This went from being a hobby to a legit radio show, delivering value and a lot of experience and knowledge. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate that. I am, like Rob mentioned, I'm a local here in Puerto Rico. Been in real estate for the last few months, and I got bit by the bug. I love it. I see myself doing this forever. Someone asked me the other day, like, "Hey, what's your big goal?" I'm like, "I want to buy the Vanderbilt." And
nice goal.
And so that's kind of where I'm shooting for. Like I'm learning, I'm growing, and having you guys around helps and facilitates that. So with me, I appreciate the video that you did for the Santurce deal that we're working on. It's a beauty. It's coming together awesomely. It's going to be amazing. The whole community is behind it. A whole bunch of Puerto Ricans that joined up. We'll talk about that in more details, but that's what's been going on with me. I'm here to become a solid operator and continue to grow. And the fact that I met you guys definitely accelerate that path. So with that, I'll introduce you to my partner, JC Morales. So Juanqui, aka Mr. Cashflow. Wait, are you muted?
Nobody's ever been able to keep this guy quiet, so this is a first time for everything, I guess, right there. What's going on with JC's audio?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, there you are. Loud and clear.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. This is an honor being next to two other guys that are like, actually taking action. That's, really what it takes to be able to take advantage of opportunities. And this is what I want to be around, that I also want to impact and inspire and learn from. So I'm excited to be a part of this group and hopefully get some value to the people that are watching this video, especially. It sounds like we're going to be talking about Puerto Ricans that are actually doing stuff. And I think that's very valuable. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, I think that's really what I think we're going to have a really important conversation today. I'd like to base it around your project and how you've structured it, how you've set it up, and then how you're using Act 60, and sort of maybe through that conversation debunk the myth that Act 60 is not for local Puerto Rican population, and at least talk about the portions of it that are. Before we move into that, though, JC, Joy gave us his sort of what's he want to do, and that's to buy the Vanderbilt. I'll give you mine and then I'll ask you yours, because people ask me that, like, hey, Robbie, what's next for you? What are you looking to accomplish? And it's not for me a comfortable retirement, which we could already have done for a long time. But what's next for us is that I'd like to fly private. So that's my big goal, right? That's what I want to get to. I want to be flying private because time is everything in this world,
so
right?
Does that mean buying a jet? Are you saying you're going to buy a jet?
No, I'm not saying I'm going to buy a jet, but I want to be able to afford to jump on one and go where I want to go. I'll let you buy the jet and I'll participate with you when I need to fly. How about that?
Hey, we partner up, we buy a jet together. Let's do it.
Yeah. What's your idea, JC?
It's funny. Yesterday, Eduardo Joy and I were at the Vanderbilt, and I've been joking around with like buying La Concha for a while. I'm like, hey, why don't we just buy La Concha? And people are like, So how do you do that? And I'm like, well, the same way these guys did it. We just learn how they did it, and we do it ourselves. We buy it from them. And so one of my goals essentially is to continue living life on my terms, and bringing that value to other people, like whatever that looks like. I think that if we can continue doing that, then all the other things will happen: the yachts, the airplane rides, the private planes, the nice houses, and all those things. So I think as long as we can continue, looking forward to those things, because at the end of the day, having all those things is cool, but it's really the experience that I'm really excited about. The experience. I always think about how cool would it be if I could invite everybody to, hang out and talk about real estate in a large property, and then you do it, and you're like, oh wow, that's awesome.
How cool was that? You just did that last week.
Exactly, but it always starts with a vision. You always start with saying, I think that would be cool. How do I create that space? And then how do I attract these people around me? And that's how I think about it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think about what you just said, and something I've seen in the short time that we've known each other and started to become friends. You really live this life of trying to bring value to people. And you can see it anytime, guys, you get invited to go somewhere with JC. He is absolutely there to invite you to the island, to show you around, to just almost wait on you hand and foot. I mean, you come over to your event at your house and you're handing out water and you're making sure people are fed, and you really live this life of bringing value to people, and it shows, and it's a really admirable trait. So it's something I've recognized in you. We've only known each other for a little while, but I've seen it time and time again that you are trying to bring value to people, and it's a really, really nice thing to watch. So
I appreciate that, what you're saying, that the reason why I am like that, first of all, because it's good. It's very simple. It's a good thing, right? That's the first thing. The second of all is I come from a hospitality background. So serving people, it was actually embedded in us. It was a family thing. It's a cultural thing. And it was also embedded in my background of what I studied, which is hospitality. But at the end of the day, also, like, by spending even more time with you guys, I realized it almost clicked in my head that I'm like, wow, if I could create those experiences for people, I know that at least would give me a reward. And I think it would be very valuable for like Puerto Ricans, the island, and those people. And I'm like, hey, if I can be that guy, I'll take it on. And I actually enjoy doing it. So it's not that hard.
No, that's awesome. So let's jump into the deal that you guys are involved with, and let's talk about how you structured it. Guys, if you would give us a big thumbs up on this as we're in here, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we'd love for you to join our community. We think that we put more content out about Puerto Rico real estate investments and entrepreneurship on the island than anyone else on the planet. And we are glad to have JC and Joy with us today to tell us about their project, which is right around the corner from where we're sitting in Santurce, Puerto Rico right now. So Joy, how did you find this place? How did you come up with the vision? And how did you put the team together? If you would share a little bit about that.
I think that's the beauty of real estate, which is it allows you to partner up, and it allows you to leverage not only your money, but also leverage other people's experience, knowledge, failures, successes. And so when I started to look at this property, I would say 8 months ago, or probably even more, 9 months ago, I knew that it had potential, but it was something that when I did the math, sort of did not work for long-term rentals. And I'm used to doing long-term, right? I don't know the math for anything other than long-term, and now, commercial space, because I'm doing that. So anything other than that, I'm not sure on how to underwrite it. And I remember we went out to eat once. Juan Carlos and I went out to eat, and he was dropping me off. And when he was dropping me off, I'm telling Juan Carlos, like, hey, man, this property, I'm negotiating it, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for long term. And luckily, he was able to say, all right, that's not a problem. Let's try it this way. Let's try it as a hotel or short-term rental. And that's how the idea started. And we began to underwrite it like that. But I was able to leverage, which is a big portion of, if you guys are looking at this and you're thinking about joining real estate, you don't have to know everything. You just have to leverage and find someone who does know it, who has the experience. So I was able to leverage the 10 plus years JC has in the industry to kind of get a sense of how to underwrite it and how to make sense. as a short term or as a hotel and not as a long term rental. And that's kind of where the idea began. Once I knew that I kind of inherited his confidence from the way we underwrote it, and it made sense. I'm like, okay, great. Let me go ahead and close this deal. But it's a property that I've negotiated for a good 8 months. We've been back and forth. At some point, they weren't interested, so I let them go, and then I followed up again, and they were kind of
What was the
interested, and I
asking when you
followed up
started
again.
eight months ago? What was the asking price back then?
Almost 500, 475, something like that.
Okay, so I know the answer to this, but I love this part of the story, and I think it's important. What'd you end up getting it for 8 months later?
We got it for 210. 210. I remember, this is a funny story.
That's pretty
I
good.
remember I actually recorded this because at one point I'm talking to the broker, and the broker is requesting that I go to the property and take a look at it and go inside. And at this point, I've never been inside the property. All this negotiation has been from the outside, because my perspective is this is a brand new 100% rehab. Like, there's nothing for me to see. I'm already expecting the worst out of the worst, and the math, the underwriting was intentionally done like that. Like, it was going to be a complete rehab, value add, or really big value add. And so she kept insisting that I go visit the property. He's like, no, we're not going to accept your offer until you go visit the property. I have a recording of me saying to the broker, hey, if you force me to go visit the property, I'm going to take back my offer, and I'm going to offer you at least $40,000 less. Because I'm going to find things that are even worse than what I thought, and I'm going to discount them from the price. So this is the price. You take it right now. If you make me go to it, I'm gonna offer you 170.
Yeah, she got what you ask for, because you'll get it. You want me to show up and look at it? I'm going to show up and look at it, and the contractor in me is going to say, "Man, the electrical shot, the plumbing is shot. There's settlement problems." I mean, there's things that you're going to see when you go in it, Joy, that you don't
100%
know about before
we had to do a new roof, because the style of that property had literally massive square holes in the roof. As a maybe in the 60s or 70s, it was a decoration where you could see light come in.
Oh, so like skylights or something it had.
Skylights that were completely, there were no glass, so it was just holes in the roof.
Oh my God.
All the massive rain came through, and just, so if I would have seen that, I would have definitely offered more. But yeah, we got a good deal. An amazing deal, and here's the funny part, and this is where JC comes in. I did not realize it was an amazing deal. At some point, Juan Carlos was like, bro, at 210, it doesn't matter what the heck we do with it. It's going to work, right? And so having that experience and having that, leveraging that partnership really made this thing work. If I was by myself in this, I would have not made it work. I probably obviously would go up to you or some of the folks that we already know to get help with that. And so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, that property is big, it scares me, you don't have to do it by yourself. You could always partner up. You can always, ask someone who can help you out with that, and you still get a massive reward from it. So you can talk a little bit more about that, JC.
And JC, real quick before you jump into that, tell us what you saw in this building that was different than what the way Edgardo Joy was looking at it, and also, if you know, how long had this building been sitting vacant? So really having no use to anybody.
Eduardo knows that. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
the property, there was one person living there, and then the rest was completely trashed because of water problems. So the roof was all messed up, and so the water kept going, and there was one person living there that was transitioning out. And the owners, actually, when we purchased the property, the owners, by the time we purchased it, that person already had transitioned out. And so it was sitting there for years and years.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, what I saw when I saw the property is, first of all, my entire portfolio has been built on $1 million water views properties, and for the last year and a half, my sister Christina has been telling me, you have to look at Santurce, you have to look at Miramar. And I was like, well, that's outside of my buy box. Like, it's not my brand. It's not what I do. And she's like, I don't care. You have to go. So at some point, I start going to some of the restaurants there in that area. Then I start going to base. I start going to the events from Rio Rico, and I start seeing what you guys are seeing now. And all of a sudden, I've been looking at properties on the beach for like forever. Condado, Ocean Park, Isla Verde. I know those numbers really well. And all of a sudden, I crossed the freeway like 1 minute, and I look at the prices over here, and I'm just like, wow. And then I'm like, well, they must be making a lot less per night. And then when I look at it, I'm like, no, they're actually not. So
Mm.
then when I start applying that my numbers into it, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I have to rethink. And one of the things about me is I usually, if I'm not excited about something initially, I will always hate on it. And I'll be like, no, that's not gonna work, whatever, whatever. And then I switch. And then I switch and I'm like, oh my God, this is the best idea I've ever heard in my life. Uh, so it's always funny. It's kind of like I'm a kite surfer. So when people told me about, hey, let's go surfing, I was like, that's stupid. Why would I want to go surfing? I can use my kite.
You
And
can't even
then
use the wind if you're just surfing. I mean, come on.
and then when I decided to go surfing, I was like, wow, this thing is the best thing ever. So, but essentially, because I started being in that area and I started looking at more and more deals, and I started getting these metrics, right? Like we started looking at price per door, how much it costs to build. You know, we start like kind of having those dashboard type of numbers in our mind based on the area. All of a sudden, when he brings me the deal, and I'm like, $210,000, 9 apartments. That's like 20 something $1,000 per apartment. I'm like, dude, that's, I mean, I don't even have to be that smart to know that. Let's say if we were into it all in for 3 times the price and we can make $100 a night, the cash flow on that it's insane. I haven't seen that before. So I figured, let's buy it. One of the ways I came in is to say, let's just buy this thing as quickly as possible because the price is too good and we can't lose on this deal. Let's just move forward with it. And I think that once you have enough information on a deal, you need to move forward. You can't like dibble dabble too much because then all of a sudden, like right now, we're looking into buying some properties around and the prices are a lot more than
Yep.
we paid. So what happens is when you don't make quick decisions, then you can when you look back, you realize like I should have actually moved forward with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
sounds a
when
great
you
point.
when you hit on a lot of stuff there, JC, but I like this part of it is that you're looking at the price per night's not really much less than the price per night on the coast, but your price per door is drastically less, right? Like, so the stuff that you may be buying that you're getting, slightly higher, maybe even double the nightly price, you're paying 3, 4, 5 times the door price, right? Is that an accurate statement?
Well, it's very simple. Like right now in Isla Verde, as an example, you can't buy a studio for less than $200,000.
Right.
You may be able to get one, but by the time it's all said and done, you'll be all into it for 220, right? And then those studios are
One
complete,
door.
and that's one door, and you're $200,000 into it. You're gonna make $100 a night. You could be all in here for half of that or less than half of that, and make almost the same number. It doesn't take too long to know like that's a good deal. You need to move forward now.
And there's more than that. You're also going to be all into it for half, but you're going to have a completely modern and fully renovated property. Whereas the $200,000 door in Isla Verde, even if you renovate it, it's not renovated typically to the level that you guys are going to do on this, where you're taking it from something that's been distressed for years and bringing it up to absolutely will be the best thing in a several block radius, right? Like there's not going to be much that competes with your building for the area.
No, not only that. Like the other thing is that you said it right. We are able to completely customize the experience for the guests and bring a lot of value to our partners. Because when you buy a single studio unit and a condo, you have to abide by their rules and their processes. And sometimes one of my motivations to try and go into larger units is that I know exactly what guests want when they check in and check out, what that experience is to look like. And one of the disadvantages of running short-term rentals in other buildings is that the buildings will have these rules and they will be like a really bad experience for the guest. And I think that what's exciting for me is not only are we getting a good deal, but I also know our guests are going to get a really nice experience because we're customizing the entire thing. So there's a lot of advantages to do this, and we can go into also there's going to be tax incentives, and it's going to just be like a stepping stone to to one day owning the Vanderbilt.
I want to talk about the tax incentives and how you structured the deal. And then at the end, don't let me go before I tell you about something where you could do something close to buying the Vanderbilt right now. So, Joy, you want to tell us, how did you structure this purchase? How did you use Act 60? I think you used tourism tax credits, or you're going to get tourism tax credits. And how in the world were you able to do that as a local Puerto Rican? Because many of us have heard that that's not possible on the island. In fact, that's a big part of the stuff that I hear online all the time, is that the locals aren't allowed to do this stuff. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk on that point. I actually love that point. So this was a strategic move for us. We didn't do this by chance. We were strategic in saying, hey, we have I don't have the money. JC was like, hey, I have the money to do everything. JC is my richest friend, besides from you, Rob. And he's like, hey, JC, I have the money.
My richest friend. We put JC. Do you see that place he lives on in Isla Verde? My God.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And, but Juan Carlos, on a serious note, was like, hey, we have the money to purchase, rehab, and keep this property without having to raise anything. We have it liquid. We can move right away, right? And or how about if we actually want to buy the Vanderbilt, how about we start allowing locals, right, and foreigners, whoever wants to participate, to come into this opportunity to invest their money. Here, there's a comment here in the chat from Francisco Rosada. He sounds like Puerto Rican or Spanish. He's saying, hey, I like to know more info, and if I have the opportunity to invest, right? So this is a perfect example, Rob, of someone who has capital, who wants to put that capital, who wants to multiply it in real estate here in Puerto Rico while impacting the community, while using the property, while a whole bunch of benefits that I will go into details. But people like Francisco there on the comments, we were like, how about we take these people and invite them to be a part of this opportunity? Whereas instead of us buying it ourselves and we get the money, we work on it, whatever, how about if we make way less money, but extend this opportunity to other people that can come in and reap the rewards with us. And so that we can establish a relationship with them moving forward. And as we get more properties, they go into more and more deals. And all of a sudden, we have a really good backbone for access to private capital here on the island. And we're also doing good. So that was kind of our two main options. And we were like, you know what, let's do it. Let's not use our own money, because we have it. We can go right away. It's way easier. It's way cheaper. We can move faster. Let's take on more work, right? Because now we have to create a syndication paperwork. We have to pay for that out of our own pocket. Let's raise the capital. Now we're on calls every day talking to investors. Remember, this is not a new thing in Puerto Rico. It's not common. It's not a thing that you were born. Your dad did not do this. Your mama did not do it. Your grandma sure as hell did not do it. So it's a new concept. Even if you're a business owner, even if you're a really successful business owner, a really successful professional, you are not familiar with this concept. Accountants, lawyers, they've never syndicated. They've never been a part of a syndication. It's a new thing here locally. Mm-hmm. So we had to take on that work and say, hey, you know what? Let's do it for the good of the future and to establish a relationship, and let's syndicate it. Let's create an opportunity for people to invest money and be part owners of this property with us and reap the rewards from the cash flow, reap the rewards from the appreciation, from the depreciation, from all the tax. So I just want to lay that foundation there for JC to comment, but that's how it started.
Yeah, basically, the idea. Do you want to say something, Robbie?
I was just going to tell everybody to give us the thumbs up. You know, we got to beg for likes on this channel so that we can get this content out there. I really think this is such an important conversation that anybody who's watching it, like and share the comment. We need to get the information out there that this stuff, this type of investing exists, and that it's available to the local population, because it's really like Joy just said, it's not out there to the public that you can even do this kind of investment.
Yeah, so, if you're getting value out of this conversation right now, comment 1. Okay, comment 1. Let me see a number 1 in the comments. I just want to read your name out loud here and make sure that you are getting value from this, and if you have a question as well, just comment 1 in the comments right now. So I see Jesus Cordoba's commenting 1. So there are a few people here that are definitely taking massive value. Savvy just commented. So this is really important. Thank you guys for commenting 1. If you're getting value, comment 1. Manny just moved. Juanqui, mic is yours.
No, I was gonna say that, I'm Puerto Rican 100%, Eduardo as well. So by the way, I come from a very I wouldn't say poor family, but lower middle class. And I've worked to accumulate a little bit of money. I'm not super rich or anything like that. I have happened to have access to capital because I have worked and I have done all the little things to get access to capital. Because what I have found out is that, like, people with capital means cash or money.
It's not just that you married up. I thought you got your money from marrying really well. No.
No, but you know what? You'd be surprised how much money have we raised from other people. I have actually raised more money from other people than from within my, me and my wife.
That's amazing.
Which is actually
giving you a hard time and commenting how nice your wife is. You've got
my wife is amazing, but this is actually also important. What I have learned is that somebody like me, it's just like the person that's listening to this podcast, if you do the work, if you create your track record, I don't care if you marry up or you marry down, like, the capital will find you. The deal, like, people with money, what I have learned, and this is a lot of value too for those of you, it's like, listen, you don't have to be born in a golden cradle. You just have to get good deals. You have to actually think different, and then the money will find you. There's for sure no question about that. And I think that, to Eduardo's point, we could have easily decided to take this down ourselves. But as we've mentioned to our partners, we've already done that before. And we did it on purpose, strategically, so that we could go and say, hey, we've done it before. We have a track record, so we're not brand new to this. But I think that if you guys want the shortcut to learn all this 10,000 hours, this is what it looks like. We're not going to do it for free at zero cost. But if you have a little bit of money that you're willing to put in, because the value comes in different ways, right? So as an example, you have the guy that finds the deal and finds the opportunity. It takes him 8 months to do it. So he creates a ton of equity there. That's what we all do, right? So that's value.
Yep.
Then when you don't bring anything else to the table, you can purchase your way in with capital, and it doesn't even have to be your own. It could be somebody else that but you're bringing value to a transaction, and eventually you're inserting yourself in the transaction. So if you're Puerto Rican and you're thinking about how can I do what these guys are doing, think about find deals, bring them to people that are actually doing the work, that understand it, and figure out a way where you can take a piece of that and understand that it takes a little bit of time to work your way up to own these things. And I think we can all attest here to say that we own some things 100% on our own, but there's a lot of stuff that we don't own on our own, and that's okay. It's actually almost better because we don't have to worry about all the little details behind that. So I think there's a lot of things to take into consideration there, which is the mindset, the creating your track record, and just trying to figure out ways so you can take those steps so that you can get to a next level and the next level, and just figure out ways to bring value first before starting to take. I think that as Puerto Ricans, when we talk about partnership, it's very hard because in our culture, we want to extract information. We don't want to extract stuff, and we don't want to actually share. And that's understandable. But if you're not moving the needle forward, then it's probably because that mindset is actually is taking the good talent away from your life. So I think it's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah. So going back to what JC was saying, we decided to say, okay, this property, let's buy it. Let's buy it. So we bought it first, and then we decided, hey, let's raise capital. Let's invite other people to come in and put 50K, 100K, even 25K. We even got it down to like 25K. Let's have it be non-accredited investors. You don't have to be accredited.
How did you set that up? So I think that's a key point, right? So what kind of documentations do you have to do for this type of syndication to invite anyone, really, accredited, non-accredited, doesn't really matter?
Yeah. So we met with an SEC lawyer who set up our private placement memorandum, which is a document that explains the opportunity and all the risks that are involved, and the upsides and the downsides, everything. And we created a 506 B, which allows us, which is the internal code that allows non-accredited investors to participate in an opportunity. And this is a game changer. Now, is it harder work for us? Yes, it's more work, because now 25 by 25, I need 4 people to get 100K.
Yeah, and
right?
even setting up the syndication, it's easier to just say it's accredited, only accredited people. But then to do what you said and allow the $25,000 investor, that guy needs as much information from you on a day-to-day basis as the guy who puts in $500,000, and maybe more actually, because it could represent his entire net worth, right? And so he's on the phone with you. Hey, Joy. Hey, JC.
We were doing mini masterminds. we were literally doing mini masterminds daily.
Yeah,
explaining to people how it worked, and so it's definitely an educational process, and it is more work for us. But again, we were intentional on our strategy. We wanted to get as many people involved, right? So that when we do our next deal, now it's not just Juan Carlos, you and me talking about it. We have close to 15 partners in that deal. And that allows us to gain speed and gain leverage as we continue to do more deals. Go ahead, Wonky.
I want to expand on the structure. Okay, so for those of you that are watching this and you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to buy a property, X property, whatever that looks like. The first thing you're going to think about is I have to buy it myself with my own resources. Resources mean money, access to financing. That's the first thing you're going to think about. What we're talking about is, okay, you ask yourself the question is, well, I can't buy this property. That doesn't mean it's not a good deal. So now you have to think about, how can I buy this property? That's the next question. You go from I can't buy it to how can I buy it? And then you think about, okay, how am I going to buy it? And in our case in particular, we were thinking that there's different ways to buy a property. One simple one is to create a corporation, which nobody has to get worried about. It's very simple. It takes about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. A lawyer or you yourself can set it up. Ideally, you use a lawyer. It's not expensive. You can go on a website for the Department of State and set it up. And then you can either own 100% of that corporation, or you can do something called a joint venture, which sometimes they call it a JV, which is like, 1 or 2 people that have an agreement of who's going to do what and who's going to bring what to the table. So that's another way of doing it. Now, the thing is, you start bringing in more than 2 or 3 people, and you start making, promises, or you start doing projections. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter if you want to call it a JV. What I've learned recently is you do not get to decide if this is a joint venture. The SEC, which is the Security and Exchange Commission, decides if you have created a security or not. So for us, even though we could have created a JV agreement, a joint venture agreement, we know, because we've actually got joint groups of multifamily investing that they actually do syndications, and we are always studying this matter, that we have to syndicate and we have to contact a different type of attorney, not your regular guy that that was referred to you from somebody. And it's an attorney that creates a document that's already created and regulated. And we tell that guy, listen, we're going to buy this property. We need to create 2 limited liability companies. and he's going to ask us, who are going to be your partners? Is it going to be people that are accredited, or is it going to be people that are non-accredited?
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't understand what this is, an accredited investor is somebody that has a net worth of $1 million or more, excluding, which means it does not include their primary residence. So that's one way to be accredited. The other way is that you have to earn over $200,000 in the last 2 years of your tax returns, uh, filing single, or $300,000 for the last 2 years filing jointly with your spouse. So that's how you become an accredited investor. Now, what's cool about doing it accredited is that it's actually, and I'm going to put it in easier ways, it gives us a lot more flexibility to use our social media network and our ability to pay for ads. We can put a billboard in the freeway if we want, and we can invite people. Now, when we do that, when we choose we're going to do accredited only, now the little guy or the guy that's not at that level yet gets excluded
Right.
from the opportunity. And this is why Eduardo Joy was very emphatic that he's like, I do not want to do that. I actually told him we should do it that way just to make it easier. And he said, no, I don't care. We'll do it the hard way. We'll work with people. And he actually did it. He was able to raise $900,000 on his own, essentially. I kind of gave him a little push and I jumped in on a couple calls, but he literally raised almost $1 million on his own from Puerto Ricans, at $25,000 increments. Guys, if that's not powerful, I don't know what is. I mean,
I mean, if that's not bringing valuable value to a community, I don't know what is. How many investors did you end up putting into this syndication?
We have around 13, 15. We went the other day, Juan Carlos. How many were there? Like 15, yeah?
Yeah, it's 15
a lot.
individuals,
Like,
and then they have the spouses, so it's probably like 20 people, 23.
So that's 15 local families that are involved in a real estate syndication through Act 60 and going to get 40% tax credits. And let's talk about that next. That piece of it is so important that I don't want to gloss over it, because I hear every day that Act 60 is written in a way that if you're from the island, you can't participate in it. And it's just not true. And we try to put that out there and let people know that most of Act 60 is available to everyone. There's just one carve out that was poorly written, and hopefully we can get it changed. But every other part of Act 60 is available to locals. How did you guys use it in this syndication to do this project that you're doing?
Oh, I'm going to let Juan Carlos answer that, because that gets his juices flowing.
Nice.
No, I mean, so when the Act 60, it actually doesn't say you have to be an American from the mainland. It doesn't say that anywhere. I don't know who came up with that. It literally says, this is what it says, guys. The Act 60 is a law that was created by the government of Puerto Rico with the sole intention of incentivizing investors to take risk to fix Puerto Rico. I'm going to say that again. The government decided, what do we do with these buildings? We have to incentivize investors because they are the only ones that are crazy enough to take a leap, because we don't know how to do it. We're not going to do it. And we need the private sector to do it. Let's do something that's so attractive that it will get people to go out of their seat and take time off to figure this out. As an example, Puerto Ricans know there is a hotel in Old San Juan called the Normandy Hotel. Okay. What an iconic building.
Yeah.
This building has been sitting there for 10 years plus, okay? And the question is, why hasn't anybody done anything with it? Well, because when investors go and look at a property like that, they cannot make the numbers work. So now the government sits down and they ask the private sector, what would that look like to make you take the risk? And they say, well, you have to provide tax incentives. And this is what I need. And one of the big ones is the credits. So I'm going to break down the law really quickly in three things, three little buckets, right? The first one is that they have an upfront benefit, and that's called the tax credits. So as an example, if we were going to do a deal for $1 million, and I'm going to use a small number, but guys, these numbers, as the project gets larger, it just becomes like juicier and juicier. So as an example, they're probably going to be doing a Hard Rock in Old San Juan for $500 million investment. So whatever number I give you, just use the 500 million so you understand how big of a deal this is. So on the $1 million example, the government will say, hey, if you take a property that can be directed to a tourist related activity, hotel, guest house, there's a bunch of little different things. Short-term rental does not apply, by the way. And we can get into details on how you could still do that. 40% of that, so that out of the 1 million, the government is going to reduce your basis from 1 million to 600,000. So all of a sudden, now the deal already makes sense. So if they just did the tax credits, most people would say, I will move forward with it now, but they didn't just do that. They said that's one benefit. The second bucket of the benefits is that the corporation that owns the asset will only pay a 4% flat fee. So as an example, how does that compare to a regular corporation? A corporation start at like about 18.5% and they can go up. So all of a sudden, if you make $100,000 in profit, you only pay $4,000 on that. They will also discount the property tax. Well, I think it's 75% of the property tax. Let's say the property tax bill was $20,000. You would only pay $5,000. So that gives more money in the pocket of the business. When we buy things for this property, we don't pay the sales tax. And Puerto Rico happens to have one of the highest sales tax. So we would save 11.5% on all the purchases. So as you can see, that is the second benefit. And those, I call it the ongoing benefits of having a tourist related activity. And that lasts for 15 years. And it can actually be extended for an additional 10 years. So as if the first one wasn't enough, now when we add the second one, it's amazing. Now, if those two didn't like get you excited, you're crazy, first of all. But if you actually put that property inside an opportunity zone, and I'm gonna kick this back to Robbie, what happens next, Robbie?
Well, so you guys have all heard me say that combining opportunity zone investing inside of Puerto Rico Act 60 tourism tax credit is just flat out the very best way to create generational wealth that exists. And I say that, period, hands down, better than 401k, better than self-directed IRA, better than doing a 1031 exchange. It's better than all of that stuff combined. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's available to everybody stateside and to local mainland or island based Puerto Ricans as well. So that combination allows for all of the things that you said. Plus, at the end of a 10-year investment, when you liquidate anytime after at least 10 years, you pay zero capital gain. So you invest the $1 million that you talked about, you get your 40% tax credits back. Now you've got $600,000 invested into the hotel, and it becomes worth $10 million over 10 years, and you sell it and you have a $9.4 million gain that you pay zero tax on. Guys, this is next level stuff. This is otherworldly type dreams for investors, and it's available to the little guy, to the normal person like JC and Joy and myself. Another thing that JC just mentioned that I think we can't emphasize enough: your syndication inside of an Act 60 tourism tax play, you're using local Puerto Ricans to raise the money, and they're going to pay 4% on the money that they make off of that investment. 4% across the board.
Oh, I forgot. There's one more. Their corporation will pay 4%, but when we send distributions to the partners, that will be 100% exempt of taxes, guys.
So they're subject to the 4%, and then that's it. They get the rest of the money paid out in distributions, and they don't have to pay tax on it. Exactly. And that's a big complaint about Act 60 is that the portion of it that's not available to the locals allows for no gain. But this is a part of Act 60 that allows the same thing, only it's on something that's far better than investing in the stock market. I think investing in the stock market can be great if you're lucky or if you're really good at it, but anyone can come alongside you guys who are great operators, see your vision and invest with you guys and make a lot of money and not pay tax on it. I mean, that's brilliant. Hey guys, give us a like for that. We need a like on that one.
The best part of the whole thing is we've talked to hundreds of people already to understand how this works, right? Rob, you've talked, I'm sure, to hundreds of gestores. You know, you put in a lot of hours. We hired a firm that costs us a lot of money to explain this to us. So we put in not only massive amounts of hours to understand and to not only understand it but to use it appropriately. Our partners put in 0 hours, right?
Yeah.
You take a random person off the street who has no idea how this works, who's never, had to pay a tax consultant to understand it, any of that, and comes in and inherits all the work that we put in immediately, right? And that's where I see the biggest benefit is you have people who are professionals, who are engineers, who are lawyers, who are whatever it is that they're doing, business owners, and they can focus on that, right? And keep pursuing that and keep adding value in that lane, but take all that excess capital and deploy it here to create wealth, to create that freedom, that financial freedom, because you're not paying taxes on it, guys. Like, it's appreciating. These properties go up immediately. We bought this property for 210. In July, when we launch the property, it's going to be 1.3, 1.4 easily.
Yeah.
You sold a property for $2 million right in front of it.
Yes, 2.8. No, don't cut me short.
2.8, right? So we are forcing appreciation through value add. That's the number one rule, right? On top of that, we're taking advantage of 60 Act, right, which is the tourism play. And on top of that, we're taking advantage of the Opportunity Zone Fund, which is for when we get to sell it later on in 10 years for the no capital, no taxes on the capital gain. So it cannot get better than this, guys. And you as a passive investor don't have to do anything. You don't have to know about it. You don't have to be in the trenches. You just enjoy that quarterly check of distributions that, by the way, it's only 4% on the corporate tax and then 0% on dividends. So that's
that answers
the most beautiful.
Cordova's question. When you do a deal with partners, the distribution in this format, now, so this is specifically to your format, it's a 0 tax to your partners, right?
Yep, correct. In this format, because we are creating a business that provides a tourism service, right? We are hosting people. We have a front desk that receives, that checks in, that checks out. We're providing breakfast in the morning. We're creating an experience that makes people want to come back. And so the government incentivizes us for doing that and taking on that work.
Yeah, you absolutely are. You're providing massive value to your community. And we keep putting up your contact information and JC's information. You guys, if you're interested in this, reach out to these guys. They're in business to do business with you. So on this channel, we invite partnerships. I fully expect to be in business with these guys for the decades to come. But if you like what you're hearing from Edgardo Joy, if you like what you're hearing from JC Morales, reach out to them. Go and follow them on their different social medias. But by all means, you can learn a lot from these guys. They're doing the heavy lifting, and they want to, and JC lives this every day, I see it, bring value to their community. And so it's really a special time and place to see this kind of investment happening on the island and to see these guys putting it together. So I highly, highly encourage anyone who's watching this to make sure you're following these guys and reach out to them. They'll answer all of your questions. Joy keeps putting it out there. I'll answer anything. I'm the same way. I'll answer anything. And I think JC's the same way. If you've got a question, we'll answer it. If we don't know the answer, we'll tell you we don't know. And likely we'll try and go find the answer for you. So love it. You guys are asking questions.
I wanted to say that if I was watching this and I was somebody with capital or I was paying a lot of taxes, how would I be able to participate in that? Well, you participate with people that are doing deals like us, and you come in as a limited partner, which means you bring the capital and you reach out to us and you say, hey, I'm interested in looking at your next opportunity. And guys, it's really simple. You can just look at stuff, you can ask a million questions, and you don't have to participate. But now the more you start looking at the stuff, the more you realize, wow, I'm missing out. So that's one easy way to take advantage. If you're watching this video and you happen to have capital, you're paying a lot of taxes in Puerto Rico, there's ways where you can take advantage of partnering with us. You don't have to learn it. We know exactly how to do it. We can teach you how to do it too. We don't, we're not trying to, as you can see, we're not trying to keep this secret. We're like actually opening up and
What,
telling
what
everybody.
would you say if another group bought the building next door to you and wanted to do the same thing?
I would say go. Actually, this happened 2 doors down. There's somebody that bought another property and they're doing a hotel. And the way we see it, it's like, oh, that's awesome. We don't actually have to take on the entire project of fixing the entire street. Where somebody else is doing an amazing project. If we could have 3 or more of those, then it's just it's a matter of having an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
So we're always thinking about that. If you're somebody that does not have capital, you can bring value by finding opportunities, by finding deals, sometimes providing a lead, sometimes looking at a different market, sometimes having more information quicker than somebody else. You can always bring value to the transaction. Now, I want to say Eduardo's having an event this weekend, and I
I wanted
think
to touch on that too.
it's timeless that we talk about that. So if you want to go ahead and introduce that, I think that would be of value.
Yeah, Joy, tell us about your event that you're doing this weekend.
Yes.
And invite people to it, and then I'd like to talk about the other parts of Act 60 that maybe you guys are or are not taking advantage of. But tell us about your event first.
Yeah, so we have, like Juan Carlos mentioned, we're creating a community of. There's 2 types. Let me go back a little bit. There's 2 types of profiles. The first is people that have capital but don't have time. Okay, these are perfect to become a partner with us and come in and invest their money and start multiplying their money and creating wealth through our deals, right? That's a bucket. There's a bucket for those types of people. They don't have time. They're busy with their businesses or busy with their professions, and they're taking that capital and they want to deploy it and to invest it and grow it. Group number 1. The second group is, hey, Joy, I actually want to do what you're doing. I want to be, the Puerto Rican version of the flip flop. Of Robbie. I want to go and look at a deal. I want to go and get in the car and go inside the building and look at it and get a quote and negotiate it. And man, I like to learn how to raise that capital and how to structure a deal and see it through and then rent it out. And then once it's rented, could I even refi out? Could I get my money in 9, 10, 11 months? I want to be the guy who's doing the work. I want to become the operator. So there's a group of people who enjoy that, who literally want to do that. And for that group, we have I have a coaching program, right, where we take them and we show them step by step on how to do that, how to achieve it, and how to get their first investment properties. And so we're having a meetup. When you're part of my community, we do quarterly meetups. And so this weekend, we're having a meetup where it's free for the people who've already joined my program, but that's on Saturday. Now, what we are doing is on Sunday, we are going to do a mastermind, a 6-hour to 7-hour long mastermind on how those people can get started in investing in real estate here in Puerto Rico. So if you want to become the operator, if you want to be the one like Robbie is, where he's always looking at deal, always talking to brokers, always figuring out, how much you pay for that, how much, making offers, negotiating, rehabbing and renting it and becoming us, where we are operators, then we have a mastermind on Sunday that we're going to teach how to do that, right? And it's going to be, I'm going to be there, and Juan Carlos is going to be there. If you're open to stop by, that would be amazing as well. And,
where are you going to have this event?
In your ex-house.
Okay, I'll come. I know where that's at. I can still get through the gate unless JC's taking it away from me.
Yeah, we're going to have the event right there, actually. And so
that's amazing.
It's really interesting that this dynamic has occurred, right? So you have a group of people that don't have time, they want to invest their capital. Great, we have deals for you, we have opportunities for you to become partners. But there's some people that want to be in the trenches, they want to be us, they want to be operators. And for those people, we're going to have a 8 to 6 hour long day. We're going to include food, we're going to include drinks. It's going to be amazing. Well, you know the spot, Robbie, so it's a beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place.
Yeah, and we're going to be learning and getting to do one-on-one coaching and making sure that these people can start their career as operators. If their
How
logo's great.
How do they find the information so that they could come on Sunday?
So we have a meetup. That I could send to you real quick, and then maybe Adan could post it up.
Yeah,
Adan, you want to do that?
Yeah. Put it in or send it to me, and I'll give it to Adan.
Eduardo and I are putting links on our stories and social media on Instagram and Facebook, so people can find it there, or you can simply send us a message directly. And I think, I see somebody here asking, how do I know I'm hiring the right operator? So these are the type of questions we're going to be answering specifically in the event. And what's cool is that sometimes when you're asking a question, you don't really know if you're asking the right question, but it's not only until you're around other people like you that are asking specific questions, and you're like, oh wow, I'm glad that somebody else thought about another question that may have been my follow-up question. And this type of stuff that we're going to be talking about. But how do you know you're hiring the right operator? I think my 2 cents on that is that you always have to find somebody that has the drive, that's already kind of doing it, that's already like hungry, they want to grow. They may not have all of the experience in the world, but they are very resourceful. I think that's the one thing that you want as an operator, which is like, hey, I don't want you to know everything. I just want to know that when something comes about that you don't know, you don't need to call me. You can just call somebody else. You can like figure it out on your own, and then we can move it forward. For me, that's kind of how I think of operators, is somebody that can, because problems will come all the time, is how they can actually, use the resources to fix problems and move forward with deals.
Yeah, I'd add to that. I think it's really important that you identify with the operator that you're going to go into business with, and so that you're kind of like-minded. It'd be nice if that operator has a track record of success, right? Like JC has a track record of success. Edgardo Joy has a track record of success. We feel like we have a track record of success, and so that's a nice thing to look at. But I really think the most important part of it, Joy, is that you identify with who you're going to get in business with, and that you like and enjoy that person, because this becomes a lifelong, in many cases, relationship. So it's not something to jump in willy-nilly, unless you're going to be completely passive and put a little bit of money with this guy and a little bit of money over here, and then it's a little less important for you to like the operator. But I think it's important to do business with people that are like-minded, that have similar kind of morals and ideas of how to achieve success and things like that. So, Joy, do you have anything to add to that before we move on to another question?
Mel, you hit it right in the head. So I want to hear about this deal that you have going on.
Before we go into that, I wanted to say that if people are wondering how we go into business with other people, is through meeting them in these masterminds, because these videos are fantastic. They get a lot of value. We learn, we get motivated, we get excited, but we still have that little fear. And the way you bridge the gap of fear is you actually go to these events and you meet the people and you look at them eye to eye and you say, well, you know what? I like this person. We have some sort of energy or synergy in the way we see things. I feel comfortable in bringing you deals. I feel comfortable in giving you, and becoming your partner as a capital partner, or as whatever that looks like. So this magic happens at the meetups. It doesn't happen over a YouTube video. It doesn't happen on Facebook. It happens by meeting people. Like, I remember when I first saw Robbie, I was a little bit intimidated by him, because we make all, and now when I met him, I like this guy, and I don't know, I can't explain why, but I just feel comfortable with it. So I'm like, okay,
I appreciate that.
I can do something with it, and I wouldn't have gotten there if I just watching YouTube videos, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's really important that, and I say all the time on the channel, the first thing is, join the community on YouTube, join the community on Facebook, but we do business with people who we like, know, and trust. I mean, that's a kind of common theme in the operators world, right? Like, people are going to do business with us if they know, like, and trust us. We're going to do business with people that we know, like, and trust as well. So you can't know, like, and trust someone if you don't know them. So coming to these events and getting to know people, that's really how it starts, right? Like, that's how we invite partnerships on our channel every day. Every single time I put something out there, I'm inviting people to partner with us. We don't partner with everybody, but we partner with those that we get to know and that we like and that we trust. And I feel like it's a mutual type of a relationship. So they're asking again where they can get access to the mastermind. Did we post that? Did you get it yet? We'll put that in. We'll put that in afterwards when we finish up, guys. We'll add a link so that you can find the mastermind for this Sunday.
All right.
Do we have any other questions that we need to get out of the way really quick? Interested in Philadelphia or interested and they're in Philadelphia, PA, and want to be an investor? Marcos Aponte. Yeah. So Marcos, again, you know, I would say send me an email at the PR consultants. What is it? The flip flop flipper PR@gmail.com. Man, I lost it there for a second, guys. It just went away from me. I will put it up there, the flip flop flipper PR@gmail.com, and you can reach JC at his social media. I think we've been posting the Instagram, and then last we'll put up Eduardo Joy's Eduardo Joy on Instagram. So you've got contacts for all of us, guys. Reach out to us. Let's get to know each other. Diane just saw JC about networking, and those were good. So thanks, Diane. Thank you a lot. Any other questions we got, guys?
Let's talk deals. Let's talk deals.
We're going to talk deals. I mentioned something earlier, but hey, if you want, we're going to end this pretty soon. So put in your last minute questions and we'll try to get to them before we finish up. At the start of this, Joy said he wants to buy the Vanderbilt. And I think then JC said he thought, okay, I'll be his neighbor and buy La Concha. So I think we could talk about this, and this would take a lot of work on our part. But if we wanted to, I believe that in Fajardo, there's a big, beautiful resort that's currently for sale. And I've never thought about buying it before. And I don't know how we would pull it off. So we'll have to go with what JC said and start thinking about how can I, because none of us can afford this one, but we're probably all aware of it out in Fajardo, the one that Blackstone had. They traded it. Which one am I searching for, you guys? The
El Conquistador.
El Conquistador. So I was going to suggest earlier.
That's a big one, man.
Let's look at buying the El Conquistador, you guys. We could do it.
That's
yeah. How much would it be? Like 200 mil? 300?
No,
I think you could buy it for about 80. I think
80 mil. So 20% of 80 mil is what, Juan Carlos?
16 million. Yeah, we could easily.
We only need 16K cash, 16 million cash, and we could raise 16 million.
That'll be the all in, but yeah, I think raising
400 acres. It's a whole bunch of rooms. It's right on the water. You know, it's an important property for the island and especially for Fajardo. And this is the dream.
Idea.
We were talking about what our dreams are, but if we're dreaming about buying La Concha and the Vanderbilt,
I love that idea.
Let's dream big. Let's get it.
Juan Carlos doesn't like it because he's like, oh, it's far. That people need to drive.
No.
You know, there's not a lot of traffic over there for 1,000 room hotel.
I think El Conquistador is a unicorn property, very unique, amazing. And it has scale it has so much meat in that bone. I would just go in there and like see what's going on, because I know there's a lot of people that have been wanting to buy it and see what the opportunity. But with Robbie's creative financing, we can bring Robbie's creative financing. Maybe we bring Jerry Norton creative financing skills. I don't know.
Maybe we can bring Pace.
Yeah, we could put together a nice community and invite everybody in. So if you're going to do a $400 million project, invite your friends.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Rob, how do we? What's the next step with this? Like, who would we need to talk to for this? Like, what would be the next step?
Man, so you know, I was just dreaming when you guys were dreaming earlier, but I know that it's out there. I know that it's at least been looking to be traded, and I think it did trade once, maybe a few years ago. Blackstone dumped it to a local family here, and I think they've been trying to sell it ever since. So we would probably need to, one, get together and see if it's something we want to put the effort into, but two, let's make sure that it is actually for sale and that it's a possibility. And then we go from there and we start answering the question, how could we do this?
The biggest thing that I've seen that they fail at is marketing. Because a project that size with so many rooms, you cannot rely on booking.com, Expedia.com. You just have to become the fucking, the Puerto Rican tourism company for it. Like, you have to become a big marketing. You have to put a lot of marketing into it. Marketing to people in the States, marketing people in New York, marketing to people in the cold states, and really and make sure that you have a lot of awareness and audience. Being strategic on the people that you bring into your marketing campaign. Like, try to go for the singers and the rappers, and that's the only way you can actually attract so much traffic. Because if you just rely on the platforms, you're not going to get enough movement over there. It's just not going to happen. People
Yeah,
are
you
gonna stay
have to
in
be
Condado.
bringing people in for some reason, right? So there's a concert, or there's a show, or there's a competition, whatever it may be. I just love, and I think what the reason that I bring it up is because we're talking about a deal that you guys are doing that's a relatively small deal, and how you guys figured out to invite locals into it and get people to become part of a community. And now we're sitting here pretending like we might one day be able to buy this 400-acre mammoth of a property for a cajillion dollars. But it's good to dream, guys. And I tell people all the time, let's dream big. You guys, I'd love to be in business with. I don't mind taking on big dreams with you guys if that's something that we
Man,
decide.
I'm telling you guys, I see it. We put in a marketing campaign behind it. Like Puerto Ricans buying back the hotel. This thing will take off. We'll be in the front news. We'll be in the front news and all the radio shows and all the newspapers. This thing will take off, especially if we partner with a local celebrity that can I don't see that. I don't see it to be I may be underestimating it, but I could see us pulling it off.
I don't think it's impossible. It's audacious and it's a big, big goal, but
Comment number one.
We should buy
Comment the number one if you think we should buy the Conquistador and raise the money from local Puerto Ricans, and we all own it. Comment number one in the comments right now. Put your number one in the comments if you believe we should buy the freaking Conquistador.
I actually know the brokers, some of the brokers that had it. Actually, Robbie, you should ask Roberto Segui. Roberto Segui had that, like, it fell through his hands a couple of times, so he may know some stuff.
I've spoken with him about this property. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I know that it's out there, and then I think it's still available to be traded.
Listen. I am willing to go out there for a road trip and look at the property and see. And I think it would be cool to get some other, like, higher level people that may have access to a network and see what can be done. I think it's like swinging the bat at it. If we never swing the bat at it, we'll never know. But I'm not. If I have a group of people around me, I'm not afraid.
Guys, let's say this is $80 million, right? Let's break down the math. Let's say we only need 40%, right? Because we can leverage the rest.
Yep.
That's what? That's
30
million. Robbie raised 20 million by himself.
Did I?
Hey, dude, think about this.
Yeah,
I just raised $1 million in a month for a really small project that no one really knows about or cares about. You don't think I could raise, 20 million in the next few months by doing a massive, marketing campaign? We sure as hell can, guys. With
your design on inviting the local population in, I think it would be a tremendously popular thing to do, right? Like, I have no idea how you set up the books on that and allow people to invest in it $25,000 or $50,000 a piece. But if you guys know how to do that and set it up,
we set it up the same way we set this one up. It's the same thing. Nothing changes. Nothing changes.
That's easy. That's the part. That's the easy part.
Nothing changes.
That's easy. That's very easy.
Well, everybody's putting a one out there, so at least this community's in favor of us doing it. So maybe we'll have to reconvene over coffee sometime really soon and discuss this further, guys.
Let's do it. Let's talk about it. This is what gets me excited. Like buying another house, that doesn't get me excited, guys. Buying a Conquistador and like figuring out how to do that. Let's say we come up short and we only raise 25 million.
I know.
Now we have, massive power to go buy other things.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, so I think we should continue this conversation and figure out how we go about marketing to this. I like it even more when you open it up to other projects like that, you guys. So
let's do it. Well, this weekend, if listen, I wanna recap. If anybody wants to get value out of this conversation even more, and you're not doing anything this weekend, or if you're doing anything this weekend but it's not going to impact your 2023, call your wife and tell her, baby, I love you, or you call your husband and say, baby, I love you, but I gotta go to Eduardo Joy's meetup. I wanna go and meet these guys in person. I want to actually ask specific questions. I wanna see like what these guys are talking about. You're gonna I guarantee you, your mind's gonna be blown, and you're gonna get a lot of value.
And Joy, please let me know where the meetup is, and I'll try to be for that. Definitely, I'll come on Sunday. Tell me what time. We'll come after church, and we would love to meet everybody who comes and is a part of your community. And anything that I can do to be of value to your community, I'm here for you guys. So
appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Rob. Let's keep talking about that thing. It's pumping me up.
Yeah, let's keep talking about it. So we've been going for a little over an hour, I think, and we have a hard stop in like 3 minutes. But if there are any last minute questions that you want to try and get in, put them right now, and we got 2 minutes or so. And otherwise, thank you guys for being so involved. Thank you for all of the comments and letting us know that we should buy the El Conquistador. And thanks for hanging out with us for an hour on a Tuesday afternoon.
Awesome. Well, I gotta jump. I gotta go on a call to look at a deal. But let's. I'll see you guys on the weekend.
I'll see you all this weekend, and you guys. Thanks a lot. Again, give us a like on this thing and subscribe to the channel. We're going to do this next Monday again. We'll have the Flip Flop Power Hour, and we look forward to seeing you there. God bless everybody.